Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan, and I am here on this wonderful Thanksgiving Day. Sam Schneider, who is in Cincinnati.
I
So,
am indeed. I am indeed. It's cold and gloomy Cincinnati, and I couldn't I couldn't be happier.
yeah, I can see that. So Sam was with Primetime Sports Talk. Tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at buy and sell you. I write for Primetime Sports Talk, like Mark said. You can find us at Talk Primetime or primetimesportstalk.com.
So, and if you don't subscribe to this channel, please do. It's the only thing we ask. Just hit that little icon in the lower right and
Mark,
subscribe.
do we ask for money
No, we do
for
not. We
this?
just ask you to subscribe, please. Just
Okay,
subscribe, support the channel. So,
I just want to make sure.
like most Bengal fans, I'm pretty much still numb from the whole thing. I mean, our whole season just basically changed on that one play. And the two big themes, we do the what you're feeling good about, what you're not feeling good about. And the two big themes this week on social media have been, number one, the Bengals are already, the fan base is already looking onto the draft. I've seen more offensive line talk about who's coming out of college next year than anything else by most of the fans. So mentally, a lot of them have already just moved out of this season onto the draft. And then obviously the other one is the dysfunction in the locker room and the coaching staff. That whole play has gone on, big stories. I've tweeted out a bunch of them. You can see them on my website, but the whole talk about the coaching staff, and we covered it in depth when the Carlos Dunlap thing was going on, was stuff that we already covered. It's disheartening. It doesn't make me feel good. I didn't feel good in our last video. I talked about how I didn't feel good about what Zach said at the presser. I didn't feel good about how the team responded on the field, and then all the news coming out this week about the profanity against players and all that stuff has just made me feel even less comfortable with the staff, which I already haven't. You know how I feel about the staff. Watch any of these videos. So that's what I'm not feeling good about right now.
Yeah, and you, I mean, you mentioned a couple of things, and you and I have gone back and forth on this a couple of times. We have different feelings. I don't particularly have a problem with Zach Taylor, but I agree with you on a lot of the other coaching staff. This story, it's gotten to the point now where I just don't know. I don't quite know who to believe. Because I have a source in the organization that says that. The woman who covered the Bengals, I can't remember her name. I think you know her name, but she covered the Bengals and left town for another job, and somebody inside the organization told me that she's basically got an axe to grind, and that the only people that she spoke to were Carlos Dunlap, who wasn't happy with his playing time, Sean Williams, who wasn't happy with his playing time, and John Ross, who wasn't happy with his playing time. And I know you're a big John Ross fan, Mark.
That John Ross, anything he says doesn't mean anything. That's like a fan saying something. So you can throw him out the door right now.
I'm not saying that's true, but I do trust, this source at least to an extent. So it's, like I said to begin with, it's at the point where you don't really know who to believe anymore. But regardless of that, I agree with your first assessment and the assessment that you've been talking about all season, in that, Johnson isn't the guy on the offensive line, and all fans' assessment that Anarumo isn't the guy on
Turner isn't the guy on the OL.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's just gotten to the point where it's a game of telephone at this point, because everybody takes each other's story and runs with it. Just because 5 different outlets run a story doesn't make it true. It just means one person said it and everybody else was like, oh, let's publish that. You know what I mean? Right. And you got Gio Bernard this week. Did you see the Gio Bernard tweets?
No.
Gio Bernard called it weak that the players that were spoken to said something like that Zach Taylor was a great coach, his door is always open, and that he's really happy with that. And I don't think Gio Bernard's a man, and he's been in this league a while. I don't think he's kissing ass. I could be wrong.
None of what you said is a denial that the stuff that Turner supposedly has said, and I talked about this in our video, about workplace environment and take this locker room, make it a law office, an insurance office, an accounting office, and you've got an entire employment lawsuit from all your people. So
allegedly,
if that environment, right? I'm just saying, if that environment's there, that's what we discussed, and none of it says that this doesn't occur.
right?
I understand that it says, okay, she only talked to a couple people, but we just got smoke from a lot of places, and where there's smoke, there's something. It's usually, this isn't, there's always, even in the biggest story, even if it turns out that most of it's not true, there's still an element of it that started the whole thing because there was something there. And I do think maybe it's not in Taylor's office, maybe it's in other offices, but there's stuff there. It just
is. I can't disagree with that.
Right. So, but I don't want this to be a thing on the coaching staff. That's something I'm not feeling good about. And the other thing I'm not feeling good about has nothing to do with the game coming up, other than we don't have Burrow. But the fact that they went in, I know that we all expected the MCL when you have the ACL, but the other structural damage, and they're not telling us what it is, could mean that there's a possibility that Joe Burrow's not ready next season and he needs another year off, or comes back, if it's 12 months, he's going to come back mid-season, be activated and start working. So it's none of that's good news. I mean, we could literally lose the first 2 years of Burrow's rookie contract and have him not playing. And that's not, Brady came back and put up some good numbers after his injury, but his happened in week 1. So, and he didn't have the other structural issues. So that was the other thing that I'm not feeling good about, but that's more of our future and not about this game this week, because we obviously don't have Burrow this week.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that at all, because anybody that saw that game, I don't know, when it happened, I was like, oh, he's not coming back for the first game of 2021. There's no way. You saw that injury happen, and you're kind of like, ooh, that doesn't look. I mean, it didn't look career ending. It didn't look like.
No, but it looked like more than the 6 to 9 months. And Carson Palmer's. I want to tell everybody some stuff, just because I don't know how much everybody remembers about the Carson Palmer injury. But Carson Palmer's obviously happened in the playoffs. It was very late. It was in the postseason. But his was different in that he got an ACL transplant from a woman. She was actually killed in a drunk driving accident, and her cataracts went one place, and it was a big story that he got this transplant. So they were just attaching it. They didn't have to have the tendon heal. They just needed it to attach, and he didn't have all the structural damage that anything else other than ACL. MCL, well, from what I've heard, and I'm not a doctor, the MCL they don't operate on. It heals on its own. So so it's the ACL that they actually do the surgery on. So, but that's why Palmer's was different. You didn't have the time waiting for, and at the time it was revolutionary, getting a tendon transplant. But that's so that's what makes it a little different. So we're going to see. I'm just holding out hope. We just want a full recovery from Burrow, even if he misses, 2021. I want a full recovery. But that brings over the whole thing, because we've looked at what we have with Finley. We have nothing. I mean, we all know the cupboard's bare. You've even said he's not even qualified to be a third string on a roster. So
yeah, I mean, I've gone back and looked at some draft picks that we initially thought were bad, and you guys like Sample and stuff like that I've sort of changed my tune on, and that I hope some other Bengals fans have as well. I have not changed my tune on Ryan Finley. Yeah. He just has no business being out there. He's throwing the ball not just at the feet of receivers, but at the feet maybe 5 yards short. I mean, and into the ground. Like, there's just no chance of it being caught. So we got Brandon Allen this week.
Now that's another interesting thing. I just tweeted out an article where Zach says he hasn't decided who's the starter. That was only 4 hours ago on Twitter. And I'm like, okay, this kind of gamesmanship, it works if Finley's a threat. But you're not threatening anybody by saying, hey, I might not start Allen, I might start Finley. They're like, go for it. Game on. That's all.
Well, I'll take this opportunity for anybody that's watching that doesn't know much about Brandon Allen. He was a 6th-round pick from Jacksonville, 2016. He has spent a lot of time on practice squads.
Yes.
When he wasn't on practice squads, he was a 3rd stringer. He got cut after 1 year with Jacksonville, signed a 4-year contract.
right.
after being drafted in the 6th round, a 4-year deal, got cut after 1 year, went to the Rams 1 year. They waived him, brought him back for the practice squad, went to the Broncos, started 3 games.
Right.
But in 3 games, 515 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Like, I get that he's been around now and he's been in practice, so you can call him a veteran. But in my opinion, you're not really a veteran if you keep getting cut like that.
Well, you're not a veteran if you only have 3 starts. So, I mean, 3 starts and like a 45% pass completion or something on the 3 starts. So,
and just like you, when you said you had a thought, I had a thought earlier today. My thought was, or you said, you saw that Zach hadn't decided yet. My feeling is that Allen will start, but we will see 2 quarterbacks in this game.
All right. So you think
Cincinnati.
he tanks and they do
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if it's Finley or Jacob, but I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see 2 quarterbacks.
Well, it's so none of that leads. There's nothing. There's a lot of bad. I mean, I can go on, but I think that's enough bad for the video.
Are you sure? Because I got columns.
Well, you can do yeah. So, but so I'm not feeling good. Things I'm feeling good about. This is a short list. Okay, and Ricci, Allen instead of Finley. I'm just interested to see what Allen can do. That's all.
Sure.
That's not even. I don't feel good about it. I'm just happy that I don't have to see. Hopefully, I don't have to see another full game of Finley. So
I agree.
So that's all I have on the good. That's it. So hopefully it's Thanksgiving. Hopefully you have something positive on Thanksgiving for people watching and listening.
Well, I've got a few things that, and again, I'm reaching just like you were. I think one is this is a bad into a good. I think we both agree. You said yourself that you didn't think we were going to win any more games this year.
No, I still don't.
I tend to agree with you, although I think we got a shot at Dallas.
No, I asked you in the last video. I said, you think there's a win on it. You tell me where it is. So you think it's Dallas. I actually think Dalton's going to come. What was a really interesting game with Dalton and Burrow, and I thought this was a game we would win because Burrow would want to make a statement on it. Now with Burrow, watching just like you and me, I think Andy comes in. I think he gets a warm welcome. I think he has, because he's still loved as a person. And I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for the guy this afternoon.
We're rooting for him today.
Absolutely. I hope he has a huge game. I started Zerline today, counting on the fact that he's going to move the ball and points. And so I'm rooting for, I think he comes back to a very warm welcome. I think he pulls out a win. And I think Dallas, if you look at it on the schedule, it comes in, that's week 14. I mean, Dallas is right in the thick of things. They have the best, most favorable schedule. And if Dalton can just, with his weapons, Dallas could win this division. It's Dallas or Washington, I think. So
yeah, I agree. So but I still think that is our one win because their defense is terrible. I probably almost as bad as ours, but
here's the thing. I think their defense will play for their coach. We don't know after watching what we just saw.
Okay, don't go coaching again.
No. But I know the Bates article. I saw the Bates comment saying we have to play 10 times better, and that's true. And we don't know what we're going to see. We don't know.
Right. This is my bad into good is. We just found out from the injury report that Gio has a concussion and didn't practice on Wednesday. And if he didn't practice on Wednesday with a concussion, then I got serious doubts on Sunday. That's the bad part.
They had limited practice today. They had him down for limited practice.
Yeah, but I mean, that could have been on the side for all we know.
But it is a concussion. The concussion is the wild card.
Right.
All the other things.
He's still good. He's still good. And honestly, a lot of times when we talk about the injury report and I make a prediction, I'm usually wrong in these videos. So maybe I'm doing the reverse jinx now.
Listen, Gio's an integral part. If we're going to do anything back there.
The good part that I was going to say is, Samaje, I'm sure will start. But I think everybody when you assume that we're not going to do very well this season, everybody wants to see Trayvon Williams out there,
right?
And see what we've really got in this guy. This is a dude at Texas A&M. In 3 years, he had 3,600 yards. He averaged 6 yards per carry. He had 34 touchdowns in 3 years. He only had 22 catches a year. So frankly, if it's the two of them, I don't know who's catching the ball out of the backfield,
right?
Because P. Ryan's got cinder blocks for hands too,
right?
So, but I've been waiting to see Trayvon for a while and hoping that he just got a couple chances. And this year he's got 5 carries for 22 yards. So I'm kind of hoping maybe he gets kind of into the game plan. So the only other good thing I have is, well, I mean, I've got a couple things, but they're like you said, I'm reaching.
We're all reaching. Listen, as a Bengal fan, like I said, I'm still grappling. When Carson Palmer got his knee hurt, it was the end of the season. So it was, the season was over. This just kind of, so I'm just still kind of numb. I really am.
I mean, it's hard to go on about it, and it's hard for us, for anybody watching, it's hard for us to decide, like, okay, let's do the preview and try to make this kind of positive. But I'm not one of those Bengals fans that like just doesn't watch the game or anything like that. I watch it,
I know,
front to back. I know that you do too, and many of my friends do. So, I think the other thing is the Giants they're not very good. They come in winning 2 straight, but they were 2 straight against their divisional opponents, and we all know that the NFC East sucks. They're a lot like us. I think they've lost, if you take out San Francisco and who blew them out, and the Rams who beat them, I think 17-9. If you take them out, the rest of the Giants' losses were, I mean, it was like 1 point, 2 point.
Oh yeah, no, I think the Giants are going to
that's what's happened to us too. But if you look at the Giants, team stats, everything is pretty equal considering. And in that division, I don't think we're, certainly not with Burrow, but even with a decent quarterback, I think we are maybe as good as several teams in that division. So you got the Giants, they average 2.6 touchdowns per game, but they give up 3 point something. They have 196. Daniel Jones, I don't know, he fell off the earth. He's averaging 196 yards passing per game. They're giving up 258 yards passing.
Yeah, but what is Daniel Jones averaging rushing? He has really turned into where he's putting up probably more than 50 yards a game with his legs lately.
Well, I don't think so, because they're only averaging 110 yards a game.
Right.
And I understand that Saquon is gone, and Devontae Freeman, who filled in for him, is gone. And Gallman in back-to-back weeks went for 68 and like 53. So yeah, I mean, Jones, I guess in the last couple of weeks, he certainly could have been doing.
Yeah, no, he's run some big, had some big running games.
But if anybody looks up, I mean, if you look up their team stats, it's, they're on the losing end of everyone. They probably shouldn't be 3-7. They should probably be more like 5-5, just like we should be better than our record. They've got coaching issues. We've got coaching issues. This is one of those where you're like, something's got to give, one way or the other.
I don't want to bash the NFC East too much, because we played 2 NFC East teams and we're 0-1-1. So we don't exactly come into this game with the resume to say, hey, this is the NFC East. We're better than that. If Burrow was playing, we'll put up. I think we could have easily outscored the Giants, because I don't think they'll put up those kind of numbers. But now we're a team that is going to struggle. And I was serious in my last video, and I still stand by this. We are going to struggle to put up 6, 9, 10, 13 points. That's all I see. And those are going to have to be aided by turnovers by our defense, because this offense is not going to march down the field on a 90-yard ball control drive. We just don't. You have to have the threat of the play action to work. You have to actually be able to to run the ball, and you have to be able to hit passes. And I'm not sure we can do either. So
well, and we just talked about the fact that, I mean, we have serious doubts about whether Giovanni Bernard is going to play. So, I mean, that's just another element to it. Although, you know, Perine's looked pretty good. And, you know, I hate saying Perine because I think his name should be Perine. But whatever. If that's his name, that's his name. He's looked okay this year. I mean, 24 rushes for, I think, just over 100 yards. You know, so he's just over the 4 yards of carry barrier. And he's looked okay at times.
But he's looked okay.
He's a veteran. He's a veteran. He can carry the rock.
But he's looked okay when Burrow was handing him the ball because there was a threat of the pass. You bring Finley in. Now, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm like, Finley, or you bring in Allen, you guys beat me. Both of these guys are sub 50% pass completions in the limited amount of time they played. There's no threat. I'm putting everybody in the box, and I'm saying, go ahead and beat me, and I don't think they will. We already had issues protecting Burrow. I would just blitz every play. I would have some form of blitz on every
that's the blueprint
play.
That's the blueprint. And it bears repeating that the Giants on defense, I think they only give up somewhere between 100 and 110 yards rushing per game. So even if you're trying to bash it into the middle of the line, it sounds like, you know, that's kind of their only, you know, really good spot on the defense. You know, I guess you just got to hope that Brandon Allen comes in and surprises everybody and is able to find his, I mean, we have the weapons on the outside, although we're going to be missing Tate. You know, which is a downside, but because he's on the COVID list, and Finney as well. But you know, we still have the weapons at receiver, and their cornerbacks are not strong. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Cross your fingers, Brandon Allen. Cross your fingers for Brandon Allen.
You know, Brandon Allen's a dented can with no label. You don't know what you're going to get this week. You know, could be yams, could be fruit cocktail. You don't until you open the can. You don't.
That's right. Oh, I mean, let's hope it's a breast of turkey with gravy.
Yeah, it's more likely it's going to be cream corn or something lame like that. So.
I love cream corn. How dare you?
So that's
How dare you?
Or mixed up vegetables. All right, you know, I'll piss off all the vegetable farmers. All right. So with all that said, what's your prediction? And since you only picked Dallas as your one win, and I've already said that I don't think we have another win on the schedule.
Yeah, so everybody
we both know that these are both Giants picks. What's the final score for the Giants?
Which is funny because before this season, I went on a Giants podcast because they interviewed somebody from each and every team, and they called Primetime Sports Talk and said, we need a Bengals guy. And I was like, I'll do it.
Okay.
And I was like, Giants, slam dunk. We got that one. That's a win. And the two Giants guys were, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
Well, you were right until Burrow gets hurt. You know, the schedule changed a lot. The game was going to be 2-0 against Burrow. Now that game's different. This was Dalton against Burrow. That game's different. I mean, the whole schedule towards the end of the year is just.
I think if Burrow played this week, we would kill the Giants.
I agree with you.
I honestly believe that. I think we would kill them.
Yeah.
I will say in the last two games, those two wins that I mentioned, because New York is on a 2-game winning streak. Daniel Jones went for 212 yards and 1 touchdown, but didn't turn the ball over against Washington. He had 244 yards, did not score through the air, but ran for 1 in the second. In that game against Philadelphia. Neither of those are impressive numbers. Unfortunately, what I'm going to say is this is the week that Daniel Jones looks like last year's Daniel Jones when the teams that he should beat, he shredded. So I'm going to take the Giants 30-17.
Okay, you're actually giving us 17 points. I actually had the Giants at 27.
You know what, Mark? Before you say it, I just want to go back to exactly what you said. I'm giving us 17 points because I think our defense is going to do something. I think maybe we get a pick 6 out of the deal, or we get a pick or a fumble to give us a short field. It's not like you said. I'm not expecting a bunch of sustained drives or anything. I just think flip the field, somehow manage to get it in. So, yeah.
Okay. And just on the rush yards for Daniel Jones,
Yeah, you got it.
384 rush yards on the season, which
Okay,
is
and that's in 10 games, so 38 yards.
that's in 10 games now. He went 22, 21, 49, 45. Then he had -7, so that was probably a sack that they count. And then, but then you look at the last 5 games, 74, 92, 20, and 64. So he's scrambling more.
The 74, this 74 was that one that should have been a touchdown. Did you see that?
That was the one that was against Washington?
It should have been an 80-yard touchdown. He tripped over his own feet. There was not even a defender there.
Yeah,
he didn't. He just
he got the TD in last week, and they were all joking about him finishing the drive. But still, so he's going to scramble. He's gonna make some things happen with his feet. I have 27-13, and I too. The only reason I'm 13 is I thought that either we got a pick six or we got a super short field from our defense, and both field goals I'm banking on being one of them being a turnover related, where we get the short field, we don't get the first down, and we trot out Fat Randy to make the field goal. And of course, since it's meaningless, he'll make the field goal. And but that's my 13. So I have a similar thing. And I think because the Giants don't, if our defense shows up a little bit, they'll keep it close for maybe till half, maybe through the middle of the third quarter. But towards the end, the Giants will have a long sustained drive. It'll be on some of these Jones scrambles, and maybe they'll get to, the 20 or 27 points. They'll get a couple touchdowns late to kind of.
Yeah, I agree with you that Jones is going to run well. They're going to open up some holes in our defensive line for him, where he takes a 3-step drop, and it's a design play, a 3-step drop, quick pause, and then the C parts and whoop, right up the middle.
No. And I just see they're a team that's good. They need this game. They're in the contention. They've been playing decent ball over the last couple weeks. Their defense has been playing good all year, in terms of keeping them in games. So I just and they're going to use our defense if they come out with spit on their chin because they're drooling. If they're going to use that against them. They're going to get them to over pursue. So you're going to see reverses. You're going to see things like that where they take advantage of the aggressiveness of our defense, the baits and guys trying to go and make plays, and they're going to turn around and use it against us, and we'll be out of position.
Well, and the Giants receiving core is finally healthy too. With
we're getting Sharp back, Golden Tate,
Darius Slayton, and Golden Tate. I mean, they're actually in pretty good shape now. So reverses and such like that, I'm buying it.
There's going to be a couple big ones. They're going to do some misdirections. They're going to take advantage of it. I just don't see this game being close. So in terms of, we'll hang with them for a little while. So
I would say let's hope we're wrong. I think you would prefer to lose to get the higher pick.
Yes, I would. It's not just, I want to remind everybody, I know that it's a crapshoot, first round offensive line and all that. There's some guys at the end of the round that perform better than the top 10 guys. I get all that. But the bottom line is it's not just the first round. You have a chance at the top of the second, the top of the third to grab really, good talent still. And we need multiple picks on the offensive line.
I agree with you. I still hope I'm wrong. I want to see us win whatever game we can, or at least, stay extremely competitive, as opposed to last year when it started to go south. It went south really, really hard.
Well, and that is going to be, does the team buy into it? We're going to see.
We're
not turning this into a coaching video. We're going to see. There's some questions that will be answered Sunday, and that's why we're going to watch the game. So
that's right, baby.
All right. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy, healthy. I know this is a weird year with COVID, but, small gatherings, don't, just be smart, people.
Whatever you got going on, have a great time.
If you learn one thing over the last few days, it's one person can make a huge difference. There's a strength and conditioning coach is on Baltimore is the reason why we don't have a nighttime game this week, because he did not observe the protocols. He was around multiple players on this team, and now we don't have a Ravens Steelers game tonight because of it.
Right.
And I know there's a whole uproar with the players because Baltimore won't release the names, even though they only have 2 strength and conditioning coaches, and we know it's one of them. But the players are like, hey, when we do something, it's front page, and this is going across the league. This isn't just Baltimore players complaining. This is, or Steeler players. This is across the league. Players are upset. Right. That Baltimore is keeping a tight lip. But if you don't think it matters being smart, look at what this idiot just did to his own, the former strength and conditioning coach, or soon to be former. Look what he did to his team. So let's be smart and safe, everybody.
As a person that just flew across the country, I'm going to take a drink of my
yeah, and show off that great koozie. Look at that koozie. You have to listen to him later today with the Washington
Joe Buck
Dallas
sucks.
Game. Joe Buck sucks. So, all right. Well, with that, we're going to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We will be back with the recap on Sunday. Please subscribe if you don't already do so. And hoo-day, everybody.
Hoo-day.